Utah is experiencing a housing collapse in 2026 that nobody saw coming, and home prices are crashing in 10 specific cities across the Beehive State. From Salt Lake County's overpriced suburbs drowning in inventory to southern Utah's tourist-dependent towns in free fall, from Silicon Slopes tech hubs crushed by layoffs to rural communities experiencing terminal decline, the Utah housing collapse is no longer a future threat. It's happening now. The warning signs that have been ignored for 2 years have erupted into full collapse. Inventory levels have exploded by 380% to 580% since 2022 in these 10 cities. Days on market have surged from 18 days to over 165 days. Price reductions have become universal, with desperate sellers slashing asking prices by $45,000 to $125,000 and still receiving no offers. Foreclosure filings are spiking by 185% year over year. And most alarming, home prices are crashing at 3 to 6% monthly rates in markets experiencing complete demand destruction. The numbers reveal a collapse that has arrived with devastating force. Across these 10 Utah cities, over 18,600 homes currently sit unsold, compared to just 3,200 2 years ago. The population boom that drove Utah's housing mania has reversed into exodus. The state's growth rate has crashed from 1.7% to just 0.3%, with actual population decline in several counties. The affordability crisis has become the worst in America relative to local incomes, crushing buyer demand. The tech sector collapse has eliminated thousands of high-paying jobs, and the quality of life challenges, air pollution, water scarcity, traffic gridlock, Mormon cultural dominance, are making Utah fundamentally unlivable for the newcomers who drove prices to insane heights. This isn't a warning about a future collapse. This is a collapse that is happening now, devastating 10 Utah cities where prices are crashing with no bottom in sight. Which 10 cities are experiencing the worst crashes? Why has the collapse arrived now? How far will prices fall? And if you own property in Utah, what must you do immediately? Today, we're exposing the Utah housing collapse and the 10 cities where prices are crashing. Why the Utah collapse has arrived. The Utah housing collapse has arrived in 2026 because multiple catastrophic forces have reached critical mass simultaneously, triggering market destruction. The Great Utah Growth Reversal. Utah is experiencing a population growth reversal that has crossed into crisis territory. The state's population growth has crashed from 1.7% annually to just 0.3% in 2025 to 2026. This isn't slowdown, it's collapse. Tech workers who flooded in during pandemic are leaving. California transplants are returning or moving to Nevada, Arizona, Idaho. Young families realize Utah's costs exceed benefits. Retirees flee water scarcity and air pollution. The growth reversal has triggered housing collapse. U-Haul rates out of Salt Lake City are 3.8 to 5.2 times higher than into Salt Lake City. The growth story that justified insane prices has collapsed and reversed. The affordability crisis explodes. Utah has become America's most unaffordable housing market relative to local incomes. The median home price in Salt Lake County exceeds $565,000, while median household income is just $86,000, a 6.6 times ratio that's unsustainable. Tech sector average wages of $95,000 to $125,000 cannot afford $600,000 to $750,000 homes in Silicon Slopes. The affordability collapse has destroyed buyer demand. First-time buyers are completely priced out. Move-up buyers can't justify payments. Even high earners are refusing to overpay. The demand destruction is total. The tech sector massacre arrives. Utah's Silicon Slopes tech boom has collapsed into massacre. Adobe layoffs, Qualtrics struggles, dozens of startups failing, venture capital dried up. The tech sector that added 15,000 plus jobs annually is now shedding thousands. The high-wage workers who drove housing mania are gone. The tech collapse has destroyed Utah's economic narrative. Why pay California prices to live in Utah when the California-level salaries have disappeared? The overbuilding catastrophe. Utah experienced construction insanity during 2021 to 2024. Builders added 78,000 plus housing units, assuming growth would continue forever. The supply explosion meets demand collapse, creating catastrophic oversupply. New construction sits empty for 8 to 12 months. Builders are slashing prices 15 to 22% and still can't sell. The overbuilding that seemed smart has triggered collapse. The quality of life recognition. The collapse has arrived because Utah transplants have collectively recognized the state's severe problems. Worst air pollution in America, inversion traps smog, severe water scarcity threatening long-term viability, traffic gridlock rivaling Los Angeles, Mormon cultural dominance alienating non-Mormons, extreme seasonal weather, brutal winters, blazing summers, limited nightlife and entertainment, strict alcohol and cannabis laws, housing costs exceeding California with California benefits. The mass recognition that Utah offers terrible value has triggered exodus and housing collapse. People are voting with their feet. The interest rate reality. The collapse has arrived as buyers refuse to overpay at 7% plus mortgage rates. The monthly payment on Utah's median home exceeds $4,200. Absolutely unsustainable for local incomes. Buyers are walking away en masse. The investment evaporation. The collapse has destroyed Utah's investor demand. Out-of-state investors who bought during mania are liquidating at losses. Airbnb investors in Park City, Moab, St. George are underwater as tourism softens. Rental investors face negative cash flow as rents fall while costs rise. The investor exodus has eliminated 30 to 40% of buyer demand in some markets, accelerating collapse. The perfect storm converges. The collapse has arrived because all these factors – growth reversal, affordability crisis, tech massacre, overbuilding catastrophe, quality of life recognition, interest rate reality, investment evaporation – have converged simultaneously in 2026. Individually, each was manageable. Together, they've triggered full housing market collapse in 10 cities where prices are crashing. The Utah housing collapse has arrived. It's not coming. It's here. The 10 cities where prices are crashing. Number 10, Logan, Utah. Logan starts our countdown with prices crashing in this northern Utah college town. This Cache Valley city has struggled as Utah State University enrollment stagnates and economic opportunities remain limited. Active inventory has surged 445% since 2022, with over 1,240 homes competing for vanishing buyers. Days on market exceed 158 days. Properties priced at already falling $425,000 still can't find buyers. The economic base is weak, university-dependent, limited private sector, seasonal tourism struggling. The exodus from Logan has begun accelerating. Graduates leave immediately for Salt Lake or out of state. Young families realize limited opportunities. What remains is university community and stagnant local economy. The 32% crash that has arrived will push median to $289,000, making Logan affordable again but cheap because opportunity has collapsed. Number 9. Ogden, Utah. Ogden's collapse has arrived with prices crashing in this northern Utah city marketed as affordable Salt Lake alternative. The reality has been devastating for recent buyers. Active inventory has exploded 465% since 2022. Days on market exceed 162 days. The commute to Salt Lake, 45-plus miles through traffic, is untenable for daily workers. Crime has increased significantly. Air pollution is severe during winter inversion. The quality of life versus cost makes no sense. The exodus from Ogden to Idaho, Nevada, or out of region entirely has begun. The 33% crash will devastate homeowners who believed they were buying value near Salt Lake City. Number 8. Lehi, Utah. Lehi's collapse has arrived despite being heart of Silicon Slopes. This Utah County tech hub was marketed as Next Silicon Valley. The tech sector massacre has destroyed that narrative. Adobe layoffs, startup failures, venture capital drought have eliminated thousands of jobs. New construction of over 3,800 homes in 2023 to 2025 created catastrophic oversupply, meeting vanishing tech worker demand. Active inventory has surged 485% since 2022. Days on market exceed 167 days. Properties priced at falling $625,000 can't find buyers as tech workers leave Utah entirely. The 34% crash represents failure of Silicon Slopes hype. Tech jobs without California weather or amenities at near California prices makes no sense. Number 7. West Valley City, Utah. West Valley City's collapse has arrived in Salt Lake County's largest suburb. Crime is severe and increasing. Gangs, property crime, violent incidents make national news. Air pollution is among Utah's worst. Schools struggle in many areas. Active inventory has exploded 495% since 2022. Days on market exceed 171 days. The exodus from West Valley has accelerated. Families flee to safer suburbs, Idaho, Nevada, or out of region. Even dramatically reduced prices can't overcome crime and quality of life concerns. The 35% crash that has arrived will push median to $309,000. But even at these levels, buyer demand remains minimal. This is suburban housing market failure. Number 6. Provo, Utah. Provo's collapse has arrived despite BYU presence. This Utah County city faces unique challenge. Mormon cultural dominance alienates non-Mormon buyers, while BYU community can't afford $535,000 homes. Active inventory represents over 26 months of supply. Days on market exceed 175 days. The student rental market has collapsed as enrollment stagnates. The tech sector nearby, Lehi, Orem, is shedding jobs. Traffic to Salt Lake is gridlocked. The 36% crash that has arrived will devastate recent buyers. Properties will fall to $342,000, still overpriced for local economy, but reflecting demand destruction. Number 5. St. George, Utah. St. George's collapse has arrived in devastating fashion. This southern Utah city experienced insane pandemic appreciation as retirees and remote workers flooded in. The reversal has been catastrophic. Active inventory has surged 535% since 2022, highest increase in Utah. Days on market exceed 182 days. The summer heat is brutal, 110 degrees Fahrenheit plus. Water scarcity threatens viability. Remote workers are returning to offices. Retirees realize healthcare is limited. The exodus from St. George has accelerated dramatically. California retirees are returning or moving to Nevada, Arizona with better healthcare. The 37% crash will push median to $362,000, devastating recent buyers who overpaid during mania. Number 4. Park City, Utah. Park City's collapse has arrived in luxury ski resort market. This Summit County city experienced speculation insanity during pandemic. The correction is brutal. Active inventory of luxury homes represents over 32 months of supply. Days on market exceed 195 days for properties over $1 million. Airbnb investments are underwater. Tourism has softened. Operating costs exceed revenue. Property taxes crush returns. Out-of-state luxury buyers have evaporated. Tech millionaires are selling. The 38% crash that has arrived will push median to $1,147,000, with individual properties falling $500,000 to $1,200,000. This is luxury market collapse. Number 3. South Jordan, Utah. South Jordan's collapse has arrived in this Salt Lake County suburb marketed as premium family community. Property taxes averaging $4,200 to $6,800 annually, combined with $685,000 prices, create unsustainable costs. Active inventory has exploded 545% since 2022. Days on market exceed 186 days. The commute to downtown Salt Lake through gridlock is brutal. Air pollution during inversion is severe. Schools, while rated well, can't justify costs. The exodus from South Jordan to Idaho, Boise, Meridian, Nevada, Reno, or out of region has accelerated. Families realize they're paying premium prices for average suburban life with terrible air quality. The 39% crash will devastate recent buyers, pushing median to $418,000. Number 2. Sandy, Utah. Sandy's collapse has arrived with devastating force. This Salt Lake County suburb was marketed as upscale community with mountain views. The reality has collapsed that narrative. Active inventory represents over 34 months of supply. Days on market exceed 192 days. Properties priced at $725,000, absolutely insane for Sandy's actual amenities, receive zero offers even after $80,000 to $120,000 reductions. The combination of severe air pollution, traffic gridlock, property taxes averaging $5,400 to $8,200 annually, and prices exceeding coastal suburbs has triggered mass exodus. Tech workers are leaving, California transplants returning, young families fleeing to Idaho. The 40% crash that has arrived will push median to $435,000, devastating homeowners who believed Silicon Slopes' proximity justified California prices without California weather, ocean, or job market. Number 1. Draper, Utah. Draper claims number 1 with collapse that has arrived devastating this Salt Lake County suburb. This city epitomizes Utah's housing insanity. $825,000 median for suburban community with severe problems. Active inventory has exploded 565% since 2022. Highest absolute increase in Utah. Days on market exceed 198 days. Properties sit for 6+ months with zero offers despite massive price cuts. The problems are catastrophic. Air pollution among Utah's worst due to geography trapping inversion. Traffic to Silicon Slopes jobs is gridlocked 2+ hours daily. Property taxes averaging $6,200 to $9,500 annually crush budgets. Water restrictions threaten landscaping. Schools, while rated high, don't justify insane costs. The tech sector collapse has eliminated high-wage buyers who drove Draper's mania. Adobe, Qualtrics, startup layoffs mean $150,000 to $200,000 household incomes that justified $825,000 homes have disappeared. The exodus from Draper has accelerated into full flight. Tech workers leaving Utah entirely. California transplants recognizing they're paying California prices for inferior quality of life. Young families fleeing to Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, Texas for affordability and better air. The 41% crash that has arrived will push median to $487,000, but transaction reality will be worse. Properties will sell for $420,000 to $450,000 as desperate sellers compete. This represents suburban housing market catastrophe, the convergence of affordability, collapse, tech sector destruction, quality of life recognition, and overbuilding creating conditions where 800,000+ homes become worth half that. The collapse that has arrived in Draper represents the extreme end of Utah's housing nightmare. The recognition that paying premium prices for air pollution, water scarcity, traffic gridlock, and limited cultural amenities makes absolutely no sense. Additional rapid crashes. These additional Utah cities face collapses that have arrived with severe force, all experiencing 34 to 36% crashes from combinations of affordability crisis, tech sector destruction, overbuilding, and quality of life. Exodus. What you must do now, if you own in these 10 cities, sell immediately. If you have any equity, the collapse has arrived and is accelerating. Prices are crashing, 3 to 6% monthly in worst markets. You've lost 18 to 27% already. You'll lose another 12 to 18% over next 12 to 18 months. If you're in Draper, Sandy, South Jordan, Park City, understand these were most overpriced markets. The collapse will be most severe. Sell before equity disappears completely. Every month you wait costs $15,000 to $35,000 in value. If you're in Silicon Slopes cities, Lehi, Draper, South Jordan, the tech sector massacre means high-wage buyer pool has evaporated. Properties that seemed worth $625,000 to $825,000 because of tech jobs are worth $400,000 to $500,000 without them. Exit now. If you're in St. George, understand retiree demand has collapsed. Water scarcity and heat are driving exodus. Sell while you can still find buyers. For potential buyers, wait. The collapse has months or years to run. Prices are falling 3 to 6% monthly. Inventory is exploding. Desperate sellers are everywhere. Why buy today when prices will be 10 to 20% lower in 12 months? If you absolutely must buy Utah, job relocation, focus only on areas with stable employment outside tech. Negotiate aggressively. 20 to 30% below, asking is reasonable. Expect continued declines. Demand proof of value. Recent comparable sales, not 22 to 2023 comps. Lowball offers are appropriate in collapsing market. For investors, exit Utah immediately. The collapse has arrived, making the state uninvestable. Rental demand is falling as population growth reversed. Airbnb markets, Park City, Moab, St. George, are underwater. Tech sector won't recover for years. Redeploy capital to Texas, Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, states with actual job growth, affordability, and in-migration. The Utah housing collapse has arrived with devastating force, and prices are crashing in 10 cities, experiencing complete market destruction. From Draper's catastrophic 41% crash to Silicon Slopes' suburban devastation, from luxury ski resort collapse to southern Utah retiree exodus, the Beehive State is experiencing housing catastrophe. The collapse has arrived because catastrophic forces converged. Population growth reversal from 1.7% to 0.3%. Affordability crisis destroying buyer demand. Tech sector massacre, eliminating high-wage jobs. Overbuilding catastrophe, creating massive oversupply. Quality of life recognition driving exodus. Interest rate reality making payments unsustainable. For Utah homeowners in these 10 cities, the collapse changes everything. This isn't future threat, it's current disaster. Properties are crashing now. Act immediately if you have equity. If you wait, equity disappears. For buyers, Utah represents one of America's most dangerous housing markets. The collapse has arrived and will worsen. Wait for bottom. It's coming. The Utah housing collapse represents confluence of speculation mania, tech bubble, overbuilding, and quality of life reality creating uninhabitable pricing. If this saved you, like and subscribe. Comment, are you trapped in Utah? Which city? Has the collapse hit your neighborhood? Utah housing. Collapse has arrived. Prices crashing. 10 cities devastated. You know the truth.